Albrecht Dürer, 1471 to 1528, was a German painter, printmaker, and art theorist, renowned for his detailed engravings and woodcuts that significantly influenced the Northern Renaissance. Madonna and Child, 1512. This small devotional painting shows Mary and the Christ child holding a pear, symbolizing Christ's future sacrifice. Influenced by Italian art, the piece, with its detailed depiction of Mary and looser rendering of the child, likely entered Emperor Rudolf II's collection and became famous through 17th-century copies and prints. Johannes Kleberger, 1526. A unique portrait of Johannes Kleberger as a sculpted bust, merging painting with the illusion of sculpture. This idealized, classical image was meant to elevate Kleberger's status, with symbols and astrological signs reflecting his ambition and character. Bust of a Young Man, 1507. Portrait of a German merchant, possibly in Venice or later in Nuremberg. The reverse features an allegory of greed, depicting an old woman clutching a money pouch to symbolize the vanity of earthly wealth, a common theme in Renaissance art. All Saints Altarpiece, Landauer Altarpiece. The 1511 All Saints image, commissioned by Matthias Landauer for the 12 Brothers House, depicts the righteous in eternal glory around the Holy Trinity. Influenced by Italian art and Augustine's City of God, Dürer includes saints, angels, and notable figures, along with a self-portrait, set against a visionary river landscape. Martyrdom of the 10,000 Christians. In 1507, Elector Frederick the Wise commissioned Dürer to depict the martyrdom of 10,000 Christians, influenced by Wittenberg relics. Dürer portrays enemies in Oriental costumes, reflecting the Ottoman threat, with Hadrian appearing as an Oriental prince, influenced by his exposure to Mamluk and Ottoman dress in Venice. Dürer's 1519 portrait of Emperor Maximilian I, created after his death, is one of the most iconic depictions of him. Based on a 1518 study, the portrait features Maximilian holding a pomegranate, symbolizing both the conquest of Granada and the motto, "More to be than to seem," highlighting his regal presence despite his civilian attire. Raffaello Sanzio di Urbino, 1483 to 1520, was an Italian painter and architect of the High Renaissance. He became famous for his harmonious compositions, especially his Madonna paintings, and worked as both a painter and as the chief architect for St. Peter's Basilica. Holy Family with the Infant John the Baptist, around 1513 to 1514. The theme of Rest on the Flight, with Joseph's mule and palms, adds a romantic touch. An original drawing and multiple versions link the image to Raphael, though his assistants may have worked on the Vienna version. St. Margaret, around 1518. In his later years, Raphael applied ancient art to Christian themes. The Holy Woman triumphs over the monster like a Roman Victoria. The rough execution, focused on light-dark effects, maybe by assistants, though Raphael might have offered both refined and cheaper versions. Madonna in the Meadow, 1505 or 1506. The pyramid-shaped group in a serene meadow highlights both the earthly and the timeless, making the Madonna in nature an icon of the Renaissance's new mindset. Titian, Tiziano Vecellio, born circa 1488 to 90 in Pieve di Cadore, died in 1576 in Venice, was a key figure in Venetian Renaissance painting and one of Italy's most influential artists. Known for his mastery of color and composition, his work deeply influenced artists ranging from Peter Paul Rubens to Eugene Delacroix. Violante, around 1510 to 1515. Titian's Violante, named for the violet in her décolletage, epitomizes the 16th-century Venetian belle donne. Her beauty is accentuated by a luxurious gown, fine brushwork, and vibrant colors, typical of Titian's early style. Young woman in a black dress, around 1520. The black dress reveals a white shirt and the lady's décolletage, with her golden hair flowing freely. Simpler than Violante, it still fits the Venetian belladonna style. While Titian's authorship is unconfirmed, the composition and technique suggest it is his work. Madonna and Child before a cloth of honor, around 1510. This early Madonna and Child by Titian shows relaxed naturalism, using light and shadow over drapery, marking a shift from Bellini's style to a more sensual, modern approach. Madonna of the Cherries, Saint Joseph on the left, Saint John the Baptist, and Saint Zechariah on the right, around 1516 to 1518. Like in the Madonna with Child, Mary, Christ, and John form a harmonious triangle. However, the children's lively gestures disrupt the balance. Titian later added Saints Joseph and Zechariah to stabilize the composition. Portrait of a man in a lynx-trimmed coat, around 1560. Benedetto Varchi, around 1540, a Florentine historian and humanist, likely inspired this portrait during his Venice stay, 1536 to 1540. Its refined composition set a standard for aristocratic portraiture. Danae, around 1554. King Acrisius locked Danae in a tower after an oracle predicted her son would kill him. Jupiter, in the form of a golden shower, united with her, and their son, Perseus, later accidentally killed Acrisius. Two earlier versions of this painting exist in Naples and Madrid. Isabella d'Este, Marchioness of Mantua, around 1534 to 1536, a major art patron, married Francesco I Gonzaga in 1490. She made the Mantuan court a Renaissance hub. Titian painted her twice in the 1530s, once at 60 and once idealized and youthful. Ecce Homo, 1543. Rare in Italian art, the scene reflects the Flemish patron's influence. Christ, though off-center, dominates the composition. Figures guide the viewer's eye toward him. The double eagle and Ces pay tribute to the imperial court, which named Titian official painter in 1533. Girl in a Fur, around 1535. The unknown woman modeled for Titian several times, likely for Duke Francesco Maria della Rovere and his son. The painting highlights the contrast of fur and skin, celebrating beauty influenced by Petrarchan love poetry rather than being a portrait. Mars, Venus, and Cupid, around 1550. The union of Venus and Mars creates harmonia, symbolizing the balance of opposing forces. A Van Dyck drawing attributes the composition to Titian. Whether it's an unfinished original or a replica is unclear, but the dramatic movement and brushwork are of notable quality. Elector John Frederick of Saxony, around 1550 to 1551. The Elector, a key figure in the Schmalkaldic League, fought against Emperor Charles V at Muhlberg, 1547, until his capture. Titian painted two portraits of him, including this resigned one, with brushwork possibly influenced by Kranich. Nymph and Shepherd, around 1570 to 1575. The painting's theme is unclear, but Titian gives it a mythical depth. The woman, symbolizing a universal force, lies on an animal skin with a cold, all-knowing gaze. The youth with a flute represents transience. The dramatic lighting and contrasting brushwork create a unified, expressive vision of change. Fabrizio Salvarizio, 1558. A wealthy Venetian merchant portrayed by Titian. His name, the artist's, and the date appear prominently. His lavish attire signals status, while the boy may hint at ties to the slave trade. Diana and Callisto, around 1566. Callisto, who broke her chastity vow to Diana with Jupiter, was transformed into a bear by Juno. Jupiter then made her the constellation Ursa Major. A previous version of this scene was sent to King Philip II, 1559, matching the underlying sketch. Jacopo Strata, around 1567 to 1568, was an architect, goldsmith, an antiquities dealer. The gold chain marks him as a court member, while the sword and fur signify wealth. Strata's dynamic pose, with contrasting arm and head movements, is unique in Titian's portraits, possibly hinting at a critique of his business methods. Physician John Giacomo Bartolotti da Parma, around 1515. Bartolotti da Parma, president of the Venice Medical Guild and writer of the Macaronia Medicinalis, a satirical poem on medicine, likely shared a friendship with Titian, suggested by the figure's dignified yet ironic expression. Christ and the Adulteress, around 1520. Christ, in the foreground, gazes compassionately at the humble sinner, with light highlighting the two figures. X-ray analysis reveals changes in Christ's left hand and the sky. Christ with the orb, around 1530. The reflective orb symbolizes the world, emphasizing Christ's universal redemption. His hand on the orb asserts his rule, while the light reflection alludes to God as the creator of light. Lucretia and her husband Lucius Tarquinius Collatinus, around 1515. Titian often depicted this scene from Ovid's Fasti. After being raped by Sextus Tarquinius, Lucretia urges revenge and takes her own life. Through fine brushwork and rich detail, Titian captures her moral strength. Madonna with Child and Saints, around 1520. This dense, half-length composition reflects Titian's narrative style of the 1520s. Resembling an adoration of the kings, Mary and the playful Christ child are shifted left to accommodate the crowding saints, Jerome, Stephen, and Maurice. A second version is held at the Louvre in Paris. The Bravo, around 1515 to 1520. Titian heightens Giorgione's dramatic half-length portrait style. A vine-crowned figure contrasts with a shadowed attacker drawing a dagger. The scene's meaning is uncertain, possibly Trebonius defending himself from Gaius Lucius, or Bacchus's capture by Pentheus' followers.